Hi guys, and welcome to another video and another episode, I guess, of turning kids movie posters into horror movie posters. I've recently had some of you guys asking me to do part 3, so I guess we're gonna do it. If you haven't seen the first 2 episodes, I recommend you go watch those, and they'll be linked below. So I'm very excited to get into making 3 new ones, so let's just get started. For the first one, we are going to be doing the Chicken Little poster. And yes, Chicken Little was a childhood favorite of mine. Just kidding, I hated that movie as a kid. I don't know why, I just watched it too many times, yet I hated it, but I would watch it all the time. So for this one, I went based off what the movie was actually about and what it says in the poster, that the sky is falling. So the first thing I did was literally just look up comets PNG because I wanted to put some of those in the movie poster. I then copy and pasted a ton of them so that there was a ton of comets falling from the sky. I then put a drop shadow and inner shadow effect on all of them so that it would look a little better. I then erased some of the comments over the words at the top because I thought it would look better if they were like behind the words. I then selected all of Chicken Little's little butt and tail, the grass and everything on the bottom so that I could make it just the sky as another layer so that I could edit how the sky was looking. I then tried to make the sky look a little bit darker and less saturated so that it looked a little bit scarier because I think if comets are falling from the sky, it wouldn't be all bright and cheery, you know? I then went on the layer underneath it that was the entire poster and made it look a little bit less saturated as well, just so that Chicken Little's butt wasn't so popping in your face, you know. I then put a vignette on it just to make it look, you know what I'm gonna say, scarier. I then did a kind of weird thing and I just colored over the words, kind of like drew the words at the top and then blurred it so that it would look a little less gray. I don't know, I could have probably done that in a better way, but that's how I did it. And I wasn't done there. No, I had to add blood, so I looked up some blood PNGs. I then put some blood on the word Chicken Little because I thought that would add an effect. I then just drew a huge shadow around his Chicken Little, basically. Made it less, like, way less saturated than the rest, so he's basically in black and white, but not really. I don't know. I just thought it looked kind of cool. I don't know exactly why or how it ended up happening, but it did. I then went and edited how all of the comets looked. I basically turned down their exposure and turned down the highlights and stuff and turned up the contrast. Yep, I did that for every single one. Should have done that on the first one, then copy and pasted it and it would have been the same. I learned my lesson. And that's the final result. I actually really like how this one turned out. I feel like that one was an easy one because the movie was basically about the sky falling. I mean, it was about the sky falling, but not comets. It was aliens. I don't know. I think it turned out okay. Moving on to the next one. And for the next one, we are going to be doing Scoob. That's right, Scoob. This poster right here. You may be thinking, he is an adorable little tiny puppy. How in the world are you going to make this scary? Well, let me tell you, I must have a morbid brain because I easily thought of something to do. I just must have a morbid brain. That's fine with me, honestly. No, I'm kidding. But, moving on. Basically, for this poster, my plan was to make him a murderer. So, you see how under Scoob it says, his epic tale begins. I'm going to change that to say, his epic murder spree begins. And he's going to be a murderer. I'll just let you see the rest. That's just what I'm telling you now. This one actually started off a little bit rough. It took me get it? Rough. Okay, moving on. Was trying to do some things that I couldn't figure out how to do it, so I went through a long process of trial and error, so we're just going to skip all of that because it doesn't affect the end game, you know? So the first thing I did that matters is I got a knife PNG and a Scooby-Doo PNG. And you're probably wondering, why did you get a Scooby-Doo PNG? Well, you will soon find out. So don't worry. So if you haven't figured it out already, I'm basically going to make his shadow with his arm up holding a knife because I thought that was like murdery, you know? So I got this picture of Scooby-Doo because he's holding his arm up kind of like that, and I could morph it to make it look more like he's gonna be like holding a knife, like you know? The first thing I did was put Scooby-Doo in the picture. I just cut off his arm because I didn't want to have to replace his entire shadow, because there was really no point, because it would have just looked not as great as the actual picture. So I just added his arm. I also removed his thumb because I thought it looked kind of weird the way with the knife. I had a little bit of trouble finding a way to have his arm positioned. I even flipped the entire poster backwards for a second, and I was like, yeah, no, that's not a good idea. I was trying to move Scooby and his shadow just over a little bit so that his arm would actually fit on the poster without it looking stupid. So I ended up just selecting the entire bottom and moving it over, and then like erasing part of it and making it just blend, which probably was not the best thing you could have done, but I tried a lot of things and that was the best thing I could have figured out. I then put his arm back and realized that it was too up enough, so I cut his arm in half to make it look a little less fake, I guess. I don't know. So after a lot of tries, I finally figured a way that looked decent with his arm. Then I put a color overlay on the knife and his two arm pieces, and then put the opacity down and blurred it a little bit so it looked like a shadow. Yeah. And after I did that, there was some overlapping that just made parts of it look darker, like where the knife was and his arm parts connecting. So I erased some of those parts and filled in the little crack like right here on his arm that was looking a little weird, so I fixed it. I then just went in on the entire poster and color corrected it, made it look less friendly and more murdery. And then I added a vignette again. I always feel weird saying that word. I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but I don't think I am. I don't know. I then selected the entire word of scoob to try and change it to be more red, because I wanted it to have blood all over it and I wanted it to look red to match the blood. Gotta match with your blood, you know? So then I just selected the sentence of his epic tales begin because I wanted to completely change it. I just did fill and then content aware, so it just kind of filled it with the surrounding area of similar stuff, so it blended in, you know? Yeah, that's what that does. Typed over it and put his murder spree begins, or whatever I put. His epic murder spree begins. That's what I put. And it took me a while to find a font that I liked, because I didn't feel like looking up the exact font they used, because I probably could have tried to do that, but I just picked one that I had that kind of matched the vibe, you know? Which, thinking back now, I could have made it all like bloody and stuff, but it's fine, because some little things have to stay the same, right? It's still gotta be Scooby and friendly, kind of, even though he's a murderer now. And then I added blood on the word scoob. I put it on the mode of multiply so that it looked a little bit less like a cartoon, and so it looked more like scary horror movie blood. Then I went through and just changed how the entire thing underneath looked again, because it was still looking a little bit too friendly for me. And then I just went in and I was kind of too lazy to change the words only in theaters May 2020 to be like less blue and more red. So I literally just put a paint bucket on it. Yeah. Then I put a little bit of blood on Scooby's tag, because I just thought, why not? Gotta have blood on him too. He's the murderer, right? Obviously, I whited out his eyes so that he was even creepier, because he was still looking like a friendly little dog. I made his eyes completely white so that he was scarier. And this is the final result. Honestly, I think this one might be my favorite out of the entire episode. Even though you haven't seen the last one, I still think this is probably my favorite, just because I like how he's holding the knife. I don't know, I think it's fun. Let's move on to the next one. So for the last poster of the video, we are going to be doing the movie Soul. If you haven't seen it, it's about a guy that dies and he is in like a limbo almost, kind of. I don't even know, to be honest. Tries to get back to Earth in his body, but doesn't. I don't really remember the ending of it, to be honest. That's the gist of it. So if you look at the movie poster, it's literally him on a piano staircase going down, because he is a musician in the movie, and it says Soul. So my vision for this movie's poster to turn into a horror movie poster was, instead of him going to a nice happy place after death, he's going to hell. He's going down, like the staircase that he's standing on. We are going to make him standing on a staircase to hell. and we are completely changing the movie name to Hell instead of Soul. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing I did was look up some fire PNG images because I was going to need a lot of fire because he's going to hell. Then I put them all in the picture and copy and pasted them a ton of times. I wanted there to be actual fire on the staircase too, not just at the bottom where he's going. So I did that as well. I then just paint bucketed all of the piano tile staircases and made it like a little bit of a red gradient. For a while, when I was making this, it just looked bad. Like, the colors weren't looking scary. It just wasn't turning out the way I was liking. So keep that in mind until about halfway through this. Then I started to like it and saw some glimpse of hope. And then I just made all the outlines black because it just looked scarier than the gray/light blue that they were before. And I also changed the letters to be red because changing the movie title was a last-minute decision. So I thought I was going to keep Soul this whole time, but I decided to change it at the last second. So I then selected the entire background because I wanted to change the color, and I changed it to a like red gradient. And then I added a like drop shadow on the stairs and the word Soul. Before I copy and pasted any more of the fire pictures, I wanted to color correct them first this time so I don't have to copy the color correction onto every single one because that took forever last time. I then just added some more fire at the bottom and some more on the stairs. So the next thing I did was I actually looked up a demon PNG because I kind of wanted there to be a couple demons just like barely visible that only people like looking into the picture would see. I added like 2 of them. They're just demons. I mean, he is going to hell, so seems about right. The next thing I did was select the dude. I don't know his name, but I selected him and made him like completely like he almost looking like a shadow, but also not. Like I just like color overlaid and then blurred it, and yeah. I then decided that I didn't like the red gradient in the background because it just looked too not there at all. So I took the original background again and just desaturated it because it had a little bit more texture to it. And then I put yet again a vignette over it because that always makes it look better, okay? I then just went and added a ton of more fire because it needed more fire. It's literally hell. It needs more fire. So this is when I decided that I wanted to change it to the word hell instead of soul. I think soul just still kind of looks a little bit too friendly, especially with the little circle of lights, I would say, with in the middle of the I don't know, the circle of lights. I still wanted it to look like the word soul. Like I wanted it to be the same font, but obviously I wasn't about to go try to find that font. So I just selected part of yell and created new letters with it. So I made hell out of like, it was pretty easy because it was just straight lines. So it took me a while to find a good placement for the word because it just looked kind of weird, but I eventually found a way for it to look decent. And I definitely like that I changed it to the word hell instead of soul. I've said the word hell a lot in the past minute and I'm not used to it. I then just added a like drop shadow and inner shadow to the word because I thought it looked kind of plain just sitting on it like that. I then just added a filter to the entire thing because I felt like it still needed a like finishing touch, you know? So this is the finished product. I decently like how it came out. I think I could have done a little better, but I tried. I still like the concept a lot. I don't know, it's just not my favorite. Comment down below which one of these 3 posters I did was your favorite because I want to know. That's about the end of this video, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe to see another great video. Give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed and you want to see a part 4. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.